Hey guys, this is Tim Lauer. Welcome to the Tim Lauer Podcast, where we talk about all things entrepreneurship, small business, real estate, and politics, local and national, that affect you right here in our area. Today we got a special guest, Jesse Fosnaugh, Airport Director of the Gulf Shores Airport. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. A lot of exciting things going on at the airport right now. So It's been open for just a little bit over a year. How's that year been?
Wow, yeah. So how has the year been? So May 21st of 2025 was our first, we opened our doors for our commercial flights, and by all measures, last summer was quite a banner opening in summer. And looking, a year since then, we've had what I call, catastrophic success.
Nice.
And that is really what the experience has been, is that, this kind of was always an experiment in mind of not knowing really how it all worked. But Allegiant's been really happy. Our customers have been really happy. And, I really do get a feeling that we're just getting started, and we're even growing, and I'll be able to talk more about that today, but really, really a good, positive year it's been.
Absolutely. And when it first opened up, you kind of set the expectations at a certain level, and they have far exceeded those expectations as far as flights coming in and out, traffic, different things. So tell us a little bit about some of the data around how full the flights are. And
so when we had launched, we had 6 nonstop destinations, and then they had added, over the course of that summer, they added 3 more. So by the end of the summer, we were selling to 9 cities, which was pretty incredible. And then, over the winter, they announced the summer schedule. So usually in November, they announced the summer schedule, and we're like, all right, what's it going to be for next year? Big question mark was like, what's 2026? We had 6. Well, they added, almost doubled it. I mean, they added 5 more cities, but we have 2.5 times the traffic. So this summer, we had 30 flights a week.
Wow.
30 flights a week.
Wow.
And, which is just incredible, again, for an airport that didn't have any. So we had some days that had 5 flights or 6 flights, and one day they had 2. And Tuesdays, nobody flies. Flies. But, of course, performance is a big deal, right? So you have 30 nonstop destinations. Some flights were twice a week, some destinations were twice a week, and some were 3 times a week.
Okay.
So they even increased frequency on those. So they added cities and increased frequency of flights in between some cities.
Nice.
And, to give you an idea, for June, just this last month here, we had 34,000 passengers travel through our terminal.
Wow.
34,000. And I had to double check the math 3 times before I said that number, because I just said, that seems impossible. That's a lot of people traveling through there. And they were, we use a term called load factor in the industry, and it was 78% full across on average.
Wow.
That's an average, the best and the least, we get 78% on average. And when you have 13 cities, that's hard to do that, because you can have some outliers that really could bring that number down. And, I usually like to say, if you have a flight that's 75 to 80%, just one flight, that's really good for a low cost carrier. It's really good. And, we've had some cities like Kansas City has had 92% load factor, 93% sometimes. Yeah. And then, our newest flight, Huntsville, was, I would say, at the lowest end, but however, that was probably a little over 60%. So
still really good numbers.
Not like it's not doing anything. And so we've been very pleased with that. And, I'm already in conversations with Allegiant again, asking about what our capabilities are for next summer and the fall. So
at current capacity, what do you think the max amount of flights, let's say, per day or per week?
Ooh. We are taxed.
Are you? Okay. Yeah, so you're pretty much there.
We're there. Okay. We're there. When Allegiant provided the flight schedule for this summer, we never had any flights scheduled to be on the ground at the same time, which is helpful to us. That's helpful because our terminal really can't handle the throughput. It's really one gate area. I mean, our challenges are pretty unique. So if one flight doesn't get out of there, we have to start doing things to make sure there's enough people before screening and after screening. We put a lot of great elements in to make that better for everyone, but it presents challenges for us. And so we're on our busy days. I like to say we're an airport that has about, this is average, 100,000 enplaned passengers. That's people going outbound on a plane. Okay. But on 10 weeks a year, we're operating about 4 times that.
Wow.
So like a 400,000 passenger airport.
Yeah.
So that's like Mobile. I mean, you're that's basically like, but for 10 weeks. And that's because of the size of the planes, the way that they come in near each other, you know, and that it's like one of those problems that we, again, back to the catastrophic success that we love to have. But, you know, we're responding to it. It's probably been one of the bigger challenges is like, how do you deal with all the people in front of your curb like that too? Like just the traffic drop off and things like that. And so, you know, the changes we made this summer to kind of help with that issue were to, you know, we really put the hat of a consumer on, a passenger, and said like, okay, when you come to this airport and it's really, really busy, where are you? What are you worried? What do you want to know? What do you want to feel? And the first thing we said is, okay, you're going to get in the terminal. You're going to get your ticket and drop your bag off, and you're not going to be able to get to the gate. Like there's no room at the gate, because the other plane's already there. Yeah. So we said, gosh, imagine the family of 5, you know, that is traveling with little kids that wants to go out and they just can't get to the gate. They're so used to being at the gate and being there and getting their Chick-fil-A and waiting. And we're basically saying you can't do that. So we said, let's inform them. Let's get them informed. Let's get some chamber ambassadors from the Gulf Coast, Alabama, Gulf Coast Chamber. Let's get some video screens up. So we put some video screens that say, here's what's in the gate area right now. You're going to make your plane today. Yeah. And then, you know, just educate our staff to tell people to help keep people informed, PA system, things like that. And it's been really cool to see that, because people, you know, when they're informed, it kind of disarms, it de-escalates. And so we really want to keep that passenger experience. You know, I use the expression quick and easy, cheap and cheerful. Yeah. And as long as you can do that, we have an incredibly good business proposition at our airport.
Hope you're enjoying the Tim Lauer podcast so far. We talk about all things small business, real estate, politics, local and national issues that affect you most. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to drop a comment below. I read and reply to each and every one. Now let's get back to it. Absolutely. So when people think about flying, they don't think about having a great guest experience, but you guys have done some things at the airport that really is different than most airports. So tell us a little bit about that. I know we've got some like live music and different areas.
That's right. So, you know, of course we have the Lulu's Grab and Go Beyond screening, which that's been a big hit with people getting their
great local food,
the key lime pie, and, you know, food and beverage there before you go, and some gifts. But what was a big add this summer is part of that experience is what can we do now? So we knew we wanted to keep them informed, but then how can we keep them entertained? So we created what we call the Sky Deck Lounge. Nice. And the Sky Deck Lounge is a kind of a relaxed patio area outside that has live music by Just Roger, and he does a great job. And then we have a food truck there by Trauma Hogs Barbecue. Okay. And so you can come there, and, you know, it's actually, the food's really, really good and well priced. And people just sit there with their pork sandwich, enjoying some music. Wow. And so you don't even feel like you're traveling. You know, it is not the chaotic airport where you're like, oh, the drop off experience. Like, you know, you get there, you feel good. If you can't get to the gate area, don't worry about it. We're going to make sure you're comfortable here. And that's been a big add also this summer, is just helping with that experience. Such a compliment to our area and the vacation, you know, the experience that they have when they come here. It starts off from the moment they arrive to the moment they leave. And it's so great that we're able to control that right here in Gulf Shores versus them flying into Pensacola or Mobile and having a different experience. That's exactly it. And to add to that, we see that, you know, the firsthand experiences with these customers. I'll go over there for lunch one day, and I'll just go, you know, be the airport director, fly on the wall, and people be waving, going, "Hey, how's it going, Roger?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they saw him because he played, you know, in town, and there's like these relationships being built and a real sense of community that like, oh my gosh, I love this airport. And that's what I love to see, is I just love to see people, the local community taking pride in the airport. I mean, really, it is ours. This is ours, and it's the community's airport. And, you know, I've used it many times, and I encourage, you know, locals to do the same. Yeah. It's amazing when you put that entrepreneurship hat on and run it from that perspective, how you can make things happen. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what I always try to make sure we do, is like challenge the status quo, because there's there's always a million reasons not to do something.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about some of the growing pains.
Yeah. So the biggest challenge has been the volume of traffic. Again, the growing pains have been that we're not really prepared for that level of traffic. And so while it is a great story, it is difficult sometimes putting on, when we have 2 planes land on the ground at the same time, and one's from Huntsville, the other one's from Northwest Arkansas, and they've got about 60 cars waiting to come pick them up. To add even more challenge to that, the people that come to meet them say, I can see their plane right there. I can see them. They're here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, they're not here on the curb yet. They're still walking off the plane, and they've got to go to baggage claim and get their bag. And then what seems to be like, you think it's a long wait at baggage claim really isn't a long wait.
Sure.
It's just that you got to baggage claim so fast. Mm-hmm. So it's like normally when you fly to LAX,
you're halfway across the airport.
You gotta go far. You're like, it may take you 10 minutes to get to baggage claim. And then by the time you get there, you're like, you're waiting, 5 to 10 minutes for your bag. Mm-hmm. Where here they go, well, you get to baggage claim in about 60 seconds. Sure. And then they're like, oh, my bag. And I'm like, well, they're still unloading it. They just unloaded you. They're still unloading the bag.
That's right.
But those have been, it's almost like perceptual things.
Yeah.
And, but some of the parking has been a challenge too. So just the roadway traffic, but then parking and, our rental car operators, we had 200, I think, Enterprise and Budget had said that Memorial Day weekend, they had over 250 reservations for that weekend. So like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 250 reservations. And I was like, they asked me like, hey, do you have more parking? And I'm going, oh boy, like, okay. So
that's a lot of parking.
Yeah. So then we're doing like some gravel lot area for them to stage their cars. Okay. And then they've got to take the cars, clean the cars faster. Like the infrastructure we have, again, is well suited for an airport that has 100,000 passengers a year, but but we have to operate at a higher, kind of like the communities around here too, like Gulf Shores, Foley, Orange Beach. They have to flex up to be a much bigger city.
That's right.
At certain periods of the year.
That's
so
right.
we have the same kind of growing pains.
That's right. That makes sense. What's probably the most challenging thing you've went through this year?
Oh, the most challenging thing. That's a tough one. As far as the airport in general, I think it would be getting our footing as far as our structure, maybe even our organizational, just bringing staff on board. And when you launch air service and you start air service and you get new people in new positions, and you kind of have to almost train like while you're going through the process. And so it sometimes is a little bit of a disservice, I would want to say, so you bring staff in and it takes 20 weeks to get a really super proficient employee, but they have to learn kind of trial by fire, because it's like, how do I show you what a busy flight day is without a busy flight day?
That's right.
So that's probably been the most challenging thing for me, is to communicate to staff that it's all going to be okay. Sure, you're doing a great job, but don't beat yourself up. And, where you might go to an organization and they're like, all right, here's the 20-week program. We're going to do this. And then you're going to take a lunch, and it's going to be this, and your bookend day, you start at 9 and you end at 5. We'll have days where we go, all right, the plane's delayed. It's 10 o'clock at night, and it might go out at 1 a.m. Okay. People have plans, everyone, and guess what? The next day you're doing it all over again.
Right.
And so I think that's the hardest thing for me is to come alongside to educate people on that, but also to really, to get the encouragement to those folks is sometimes a challenge for me personally. It's just to go, it's all going to be okay. You're doing a great job. And they are. Yeah, everyone's doing a fantastic job. But that was probably the most challenging thing for me, is just to build that type of organization and that culture where you kind of had to spool up really fast.
Gotcha. How many jobs has the airport brought to the area?
Oh my gosh. If you were to say just the terminal alone, like when the air service came, we're probably at this point looking over 100.
Wow.
Over 100.
Wow.
And that's because you have TSA and everything else going on.
All the things that go around with the car rentals, the Lulus, all that stuff.
So it's probably Well, I would say that those folks probably are in that number, but then you have all the other stuff happening outside the airport, like the maintenance and the FBO Gulf Air Center, like those entities. We probably have over 600 jobs created from the airport proper, direct employment at the airport,
Gotcha.
600 there. But you think about it, what does it take to have a flight on the ground? Well, you have 5 ground handling agents, you have 5 ticket agents, then you've got 2 wheelchair pusher folks, and then you've got my airport authority staff. Sometimes there's 6 to 7 of those folks on at the same time. TSA, Enterprise, the people that are doing the detailing for Enterprise. But that's the direct. Then you got shuttle operators. Then, you have all of these kind of indirect employment that are, it's so exciting because you start talking about it and you're like,
absolutely.
We started the airport with very little ground transportation kind of developed. We had, I think, 4 shuttle operators like day one. And then now we're over almost a dozen. Wow. I think we have a dozen. Wow. And that's just because, free market, right?
Yeah.
It provides an opportunity. We need those operators. So we're in lockstep.
Yeah. And how many new visitors has the airport introduced to our area?
So as far as new visitors, what we've found, and we're going to be doing an economic impact study. So that is going to be developed here this fall. So we can get really good data about how much people are spending, where they're coming from, and have they been here before. We did run a survey in the gate area this past winter, during the middle of the season, and asked, how often did you visit Gulf Shores and Orange Beach before service existed? And 43% had said never.
Wow.
43%. And I had to number. I was looking at it going, that can't be right. I asked my staff, I said, how'd you ask this question? I said, well, we handed them the iPad. Like we took the charge to them was to go hand this to 5 different customers every single flight in the gate area. And that's what they did. So that's how we did the sampling.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, so this is good data. That's good data, good sample size, over 200 people. So it was, we knew we had something special that when we heard 43% had never been here before.
Wow, that's great. That's great. It'd be curious to know how many of those are now repeat.
Right, exactly. Like have they come again? Yeah.
That's right.
And my mom, she bought I'll give you an idea. She's from Michigan. She's not even in one of the passengers flying in, but she's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And she bought a house down here. And I can tell you that that's happening all over the place. And it'll be a matter of time before you see that flight to Grand Rapids. And then you got second home ownership and, it's happening. It is really happening. And, realtors, condo association, the people that are understanding that those, like the value of having someone that can come buy a home is a whole new market, right? Like you don't have to have just a new resident. You can have a new resident that lives somewhere else that comes and visits here all the time. And so it's really opened up a lot of opportunities there too.
Absolutely.
That's I'm sure you've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking about that, what are some of the most requested destinations that we're not going to yet?
The one that always kind of gets, there's a lot of them that people throw out there. People want to go to Las Vegas. There's kind of 2 different requests. There's the local request, and then there's the ones we hear from like visitors. So the local request seems to be Key West. Okay. A lot of people are like, we got to go south somewhere. I'm like, we're already south.
That's right.
You can't go south. And like,
we are the destination.
We are the destination. Or they'll say we want to go to Las Vegas, and I'm like, fair point. I get it. You want to do that. But what we've really also seen is kind of a continuation of that Midwest. There's that corridor that goes out the Midwest, the Minneapolis, Grand Rapids, Indianapolis, even up to the Northeast. We've heard of some Pennsylvania, those folks. And so there tends to be a habit of travel patterns from Northeast United States going down to Florida. But some of that does go to, Alabama's beaches. And so we tend to see that the Chicago, these big metropolitan areas, but you do kind of get those folks once in a while. You'll see it fired off online and they'll go, well, what about Seattle? And I'm like, well, you got to get 186 people every 2 days because they fly nonstop travel. Sure. So there's there's not a whole lot of connecting, not a whole lot of flights.
There's a lot more that goes into it with an airline like Allegiant than other airlines. They're
professionals at taking people on vacation and their travel company. Gotcha. So that's what they do best. And but that's also what I believe is their great value proposition is
absolutely.
Even if your flight is delayed, you're not worried about a connection in Atlanta or Dallas. You're not worried about it. And so when you have a family of 5 and you're carrying a baby and you have 2 strollers and
you're not rushed.
You are not rushed. You get there, they sit out, they They play with their toys right there in the terminal floor. It's clean. They're enjoying the experience because the experience is a continuation of their awesome vacation. And that's what we want to continue to be easy. So
awesome. Are there any destinations that you've added that surprised you as far as either overperforming or underperforming?
Probably actually both of those spectrums kind of surprised me. Huntsville I was surprised that Allegiant had added Huntsville.
Okay.
So they had started service out of there before they launched. They had started doing service there to some Florida destinations, which was good for Huntsville. Mm-hmm. But we did not expect them to launch an intrastate route, one of the only two in Allegiant's network. It's really uncommon for them to do that type of like that's what you see from like Southwest Airlines in Dallas and Houston. Like you just don't see that in Alabama. It was the only one of its kind, first ever of that. And so that was a bit surprising just to see that service launched. And then but people have come to enjoy that service too, because it's driving up 65.
That's two of Alabama's fastest growing areas.
Yes, exactly. And I think there'll be more to come on that, as we continue to develop routes. But then you have some cities like Appleton, Wisconsin, right? That performs as a banner type of, it's just so successful. And you go, well, how does Appleton, Wisconsin, have such a high level of traffic here at all times of the year? They're flying that year round.
Wow.
And so it's not just seasonal. You're getting people all the time.
Okay.
I had the opportunity this winter to speak to but then I'm also shown a little bit behind the curtain sometimes with that when I spoke at the Wisconsin Snowbirds Club this winter. And I went, oh my gosh. And I just raised my hand and said,
how many?
Oh, yeah, 250 people at the Orange Beach Event Center.
Wow.
And I just went, because I thought it was going to be a small room, little banquet room inside of a small restaurant. I was like, Orange Beach Event Center? You're going to have me go to the event center? And I just asked, raise the hands, who's flown before? Who wants to fly? Then you had some people that are like, fly to La Crosse, they would say. And I'm like, okay. But I said, all it really takes to be successful, especially with an air carrier like Allegiant, is you get those folks they're snowbirds, right? So they're in their retirement years. But if they tell their grandkids, if they tell their children, if they tell their friends, you want to talk about a powerful network of people.
Oh yeah.
They've got disposable income, they've got the time, and just that room right there. I said, if you guys each go tell 6 people, we'll fill planes the rest of the year. And that's what they do. Is they just say, hey, we're part of this group, tell them about it, and we're never driving again.
Wow.
I'm like, that was easy.
Nice.
But then you have cities like Houston where you're like, oh, it's such a big city. That's going to be so great. Well, that was not a strong performer.
Oh, well. Okay.
That wasn't. And then you would think like, wow, Houston, big city, Texas Triangle. Sure. And to think that Appleton, Wisconsin would perform more powerfully than Houston, Texas. No one would believe me if I said that.
Yeah. You just never know.
Never know.
That's right. So you guys have seen tremendous success at the airport, growth. What's the future?
Yeah. So the future. So right after service started last summer, and we saw how busy the hold room was when we had 180 people going on a flight. I had to communicate back to my board and say, when everyone's congratulating me, saying, good job on the inaugural flights, Jesse, so successful. And I said, that's so great. And then the next slide I put up is like, but we're out of room. And they're like, no. Like, we just did this, and let's just run this through. And I said, well, we won't be able to grow any more than we are right now if we don't, because Allegiant's not going to start flying on Tuesdays. They're not going to start flying at 6 a.m.
Sure.
They're just not going to change their travel habits. So we have to build our airport, what I call build your airport for Easter Sunday. You kind of have to build your facility to handle that influx of traffic.
Gotcha.
So we started the process last summer of an expansion. And that would mean adding gate areas, improving our curbside area, more drop-off, more baggage claim. And we worked with a architectural firm that does airports, Populous Fentress. They've done actually some NFL stadiums. They've done Denver Airport, Page Field. You don't kind of have to tell them. You basically give them your problem, and they get out the pen and go, got it. We know how to do this. We know how bags flow. We know what people need. So we engaged them as a partner, and then we got secured financing through a line of the City of Gulf Shores and a line of credit. Bank line of credit, and to get the construction moving. And we just now broke ground 3 weeks ago.
Wow, congratulations.
So that was all leading to a design process to start to break ground this summer for a plan to be open next summer for a new gate. So we're expanding our terminal right now as we speak.
And that'll double your capacity.
That'll double our capacity. Okay. Yep. It'll allow 2 aircraft to be on the ground at the same time, which we cannot do.
Okay.
It'll allow for increased baggage claim area, increased curbside. So all those kind of bottlenecks that we're having right now, we're going to be really seriously greatly alleviated next summer. Wow. And when we, and then that'll allow that third flight to come in within an hour of one of the first 2 leaving. We can have increased amenities beyond screening. So we'll have larger food and gift, food and beverage, and news and gift. And I think patio, we have 2 separate patio areas in this new expansion. So one before screening, kind of where the music is happening now, and another beyond screening. It'll actually be really neat. So it'll have we'll have a couple roll-up doors that we can either open or close depending on what the weather's like. We know it's warm, so we might not open those and just have man doors going out. But it'll be a patio right next to where the planes park. Oh, cool. So the planes will park nose in like they do now, and then you'll have a patio. So it'll have glass panes on it. And so have fans in there, bushwhacker machine or whatever.
Yeah, there we go.
And then you'll be able to sit out there and enjoy a relaxed kind of area, some live music out there. And just like they do now, enjoy their flight, enjoy the experience, see your plane. And I think it's going to be a real cool amenity to have. And again, continue the ease of use. And our plan is if we build it, that Allegiant will support it. And, of course, we always are, listening to other airlines that are interested, but really that only becomes the conversation once we see once Allegiant's success is really proven. So I use the illustration. It's a good one. I say, you want to court, you want to be with the girl you're dating, and you like the girl you're dating. That's what I always kind of say. It's like, you want to court him, but you also want to like him, and we like the girl we're dating. So that's really how we look about Allegiant, because they bet big on us. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think about it, in November of 2024, when they announced 6 cities, and all we had was we had a concrete pad. That's all we had. No terminal building. They were just rolling the dice so big on Gulf Shores, going, hey, we've got these guys in Southern Alabama. They say they're going to have a terminal. We're going to bet big on them. And we answered. So they bet big on us. And so we're betting big on them too. Yeah. And they'll have their own challenges, with their merger. But I think that's going to be a good thing for us. They merged with Sun Country. So that's 2 strong airlines. It wasn't like one gobbled up the other one because it was failing. It's you had 2 strong carriers. And, I think their models align well together.
Wow. So you're talking about a huge increase, doubling the amount of people coming in. If you were an entrepreneur looking to start a business around the airport, maybe a car rental company or something, what would you recommend?
So I think what would be really helpful, and this is kind of an innovative idea, but like a luggage storage. Luggage storage company. So what we encounter a lot right now is folks check out of their business, or they check out of their condo rather, at 10 a.m. And their flight will be at 6 or 7 p.m. So we hear and see a lot of people that will just go right to the airport. Like I checked out, I couldn't leave my bag at the Airbnb. So now I lost my beach day. I can't go to the wharf because now I've got 6 bags. So I think if we had some type of business or innovative idea to connect those 2 things together would be kind of neat, to be like, hey, we got your bag. You go spend your day. We'll bring it to the airport for you, like a concierge service. Would be good. I still think Turo is a good. A
lot of people are doing the Turo app.
If you have a vehicle or want to kind of establish that we support that at the airport, you just park the car at the terminal parking lot and coordinate with the user. And that's been a big ad. Those are probably the ones that come to mind the quickest. But as far as like any other entrepreneur, the best thing you can do is advocate for the air service. Because it may not be you may not be the first thing that you think like, okay, I run this retail shop. You might go, well, I'm getting all these people that come from everywhere anyway. But what you will find, and this is what this service has proven, is that those people that are flying in are coming and staying more often. They're spending more money, so this isn't just like heads and beds. This is really an economic accelerator, a catalyst, and it is.
Yep.
And just wait when the jobs at the airport continue to pick up, and then they're buying homes, and then they're buying their shovels at Home Depot. I mean, economic impact gets me excited, especially when you start talking about that multiplier effect, that intangible, right? Where people may not think of it all the time, but those are where I would say, even if you're not 1 degree, if you're not touching the air service, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're critical to the air service, because Allegiant would have sniffed out if there was a community here and business group that just said, just Allegiant, or if they would have not bet on the air service or not marketed in those destinations. We've had condo companies, hotels that have now targeted those cities and found success in the 13 destinations we've filed to, because all you got to do is get those folks here, and it's easy for them.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That's probably a long answer, but that's where I kind of think.
Okay. So we got about a week till this airs, so we got to start a luggage concierge service in a short period of time.
You better get it spooled up.
That's right. So I remember overhearing you talk about some tips or a hack to get cheaper airline ticket prices. You want to kind of give us a little sneak peek into that?
Yes, that's a real good tip. So the Department of Transportation has a rule that if any airline has like a convenience fee on their ticketing process, there has to be a way for the customer to abate that fee. And the way that's done here in Gulf Shores is every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m., if you walk up to the airport and just like a good old fashioned train ticket, and you say, I'd like to buy my ticket to Huntsville, you save $22 off of each direction of that.
Wow.
So I use this illustration a lot. I went up to Kansas City and visited my daughter. She's in law school up there. And I went for $44 round trip.
Wow.
And I used my Allegiant credit card, and I got a drink. So I was like, I felt like I was being paid to fly. I felt like a king.
There you go.
I was like, $44? I'm like, are you sure about that? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then you just wear a backpack, so you don't have to pay any baggage fees.
Okay.
I mean, there's some nice little things like that. Like if you wear a backpack, that's your personal item. If you book at the airport, that saves $22 per person each way.
Wow.
You have a family of 4, that's $180.
Yeah.
Off of that already low ticket. So I always advocate for, if you're able to do that and it's not too much trouble for you to go to the airport, which again, our airport's easy to walk up to and do that, then it saves money.
Awesome. Well, there you go. You heard it right here. Great tip on saving some money on it.
That's right.
Flight service out of Gulf Shores.
Yeah.
Cool. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is, continue to use the air service. There'll be more on the horizon with the airport. We are working on developing some more of our airport property, doing our what we call maintenance, repair, overhaul facility. So we're working on inviting more aeronautical business to the area. Those things are still in progress, but right now, continue to use the air service, and that's the most I can ask of our customers. And I just want to thank our listeners and the community for supporting this and being partners in this. Awesome.
Well, thank you, Jesse, for coming on, and then also thank you. We've had this dream of air service in this area for a long time, and it seems like you've been here over a year and a half. It feels like forever, but in that short period, you've really brought the airport from no commercial flights. I remember standing out there on the tarmac with you on the runway doing an interview over a year and a half ago.
That's right.
Where we're busting at the seams and have to put up a second terminal well ahead of what anybody ever thought would have been possible. So thank you for that. And it's brought some tremendous service to our area, new time visitors, economic growth. I mean, the list is just...
It's exciting times.
It is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Tim. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.